What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Today, we're fertilizing fruit trees. Alright guys, so I have some fruit trees around the yard that are long overdue for a little bit of fertilization. I do use natural things like some mulch and some of the goat manure and chicken manure and compost, worm droppings, etc. But a good friend of mine, Charles from IB Organics, sent me over some of his products. I'm not formally sponsored, just a good friend reaching out, and we're both YouTubers. He's got a channel that I'll link below, and he's one of the few that I will always work with because I believe in his products. All right, so we have the 6 Macros Plus. There's a super blend and the premium blend. I guess the premium blend has extra calcium and a few, I think the formula is a little bit different and fancier, but in a nutshell, it's an all-purpose fertilizer. You can use this on your vegetables, your fruit trees, all sorts of stuff, all natural. But something really intriguing is all the beneficial microbes and mycorrhiza fungi that is in this formula. So today I'll be demoing a few different uses for these. I mean, they all have the same use essentially, fertilization, but there's a few different ways that you can use this product, and I'm gonna go ahead and walk you guys through that. So we have the 6 Macros Plus here. Super blend makes up to 20 gallons plus. And these are all the macronutrients containing beneficial microbes and mycorrhizae. All right, so on the macronutrients, we have nitrogen, phosphate, available phosphate more importantly, soluble potash, magnesium, sulfur, and calcium. And on the micronutrients, we have iron, manganese, zinc, copper, and boron. I'm not gonna read all the ingredients, but you can see they're all nice and natural, organic. We have feather meal, alfalfa meal, fish bone meal, kelp meal, cottonseed meal, all natural stuff here. They have different directions. You can put this directly on the soil. You can see how to use it for both annuals and vegetables. You can use it as a foliar feed or even a compost tea. All right, so as far as using this stuff, well, first of all, let's just break it open. It's got a nice little tearable seal there, and you can reseal it very easily. Nice and clean. In reading the directions, most directions call for about a tablespoon here mixed into a tablespoon per gallon basically. And that's gonna go for whether you're doing a foliar feed or you're making a compost tea. I'm not gonna demo the compost tea. I'll actually point you guys to a video Charles has that does an excellent job in that. I don't have a bubbler. I have a koi pond, and so instead of making compost teas, I'm always just taking water from that. So before I show you the first way in preparation, I would say that's at least a gallon there. And so in order to not, since I don't know exactly, in order to not burn my trees here and over fertilize them, I'm just gonna give it a nice tablespoon. And the directions call to keep that in there for an hour so that everything dissolves properly. But you might want to just mix that around a little bit. We're gonna keep that to the side for now, and we'll check on that in a minute. I'm gonna show you some of my problem trees, some of the iffy ones, and we're gonna go ahead and fertilize those. I'm gonna use the granular method where you're basically just sprinkling it at the base of the tree, not necessarily the trunk, just the root system. So yeah, let's go check that out. Okay, so first up is going to be my white sapote. I've put it in the ground this year. It's doing well, but if you look at the foliage, we'll see some speckling here, just a little bit of, you know, discoloration problem areas, maybe a lack of iron or certain nutrients, but some of this is from the nursery, but some of this is from here. Could be a combination of shock from transplant I did root prune it pretty heavy in another video, but we do have a nice bit of fruit on here too, so it'd be good to give it a little fertilizer, see how it does. All right, so here we are at the base. Considerable amount of mulch, but it's actually broken down pretty well. But what I'm gonna do is pull a little bit of this back. If you guys didn't know, basically as big as your canopy is, that's as big as the root system is. This has been recently transplanted, so I know for a fact that the roots only go out to about here. But what I'm gonna do is take about that tablespoon and we're just gonna shake it around the base. All right, so it's been distributed around the base. We're gonna kind of cover up the mulch a little bit. Never hugging the trunk there, just kind of should build up as you get away from the trunk. And we're gonna go ahead and water that in. And a little side note for you guys, for filming purposes mainly, we're nearing the end of the day here, but you never wanna water at high noon or anything. Just noticed a nice ant pile right there. We're gonna hose that down a little bit. All right. So you're just watering that in. We should be good to go on that. Okay, so next up is this lemon tree that I planted from seed. And if we take a closer look at the foliage here, I don't know if you're picking that up on camera, but things have been looking pretty yellowish for a while now, and that to me says lack of certain micro, perhaps macro minerals, specifically I would say manganese, iron, etc. So we're gonna go ahead and treat this guy. All right, so for this one, I'd already pre-mixed this. It's been sitting for a while, probably not quite an hour, but in the time that I recorded the first take and this last demo, I think we should be good to go here. Most of everything in there has dissolved. Even if there are some floaters, you know, they'll basically still get to the tree. Again, I'm gonna pull back some of this mulch because it's a little thicker here. Get some dollar weed out of the way while I'm at it. But the cool thing about this is you're almost using it as a foliar feed in combination, because at least with a shrub this small, I'd consider this a shrub right now, you can douse it in the liquid here, and so it's going to get all over the leaves, and the leaves will actually soak some of that in. But we are mainly focusing on the roots right now. So we're just going to give it a nice soak from top to bottom. And really, after mixing it, it's as simple as that. I'm actually gonna hang on to this, and off camera, I'm gonna hit up a bunch of my fruit trees throughout the yard. Okay guys, another big one I have is this Pisang Kalang. It's not really hurting or anything, but I did get it, I don't know if you guys know about bananas, but I got it about this big in the mail, and they're crazy fragile. So I had this by the window light. I eventually moved it outside in pretty heavy shade. Now it's in about half and half partial shade, and it's doing pretty well. We've got a lot of new growth. But as far as bananas go, usually their greens are really green when they're really happy. So I don't think this banana's in trouble. I think, you know, it's just young, but it would be good to hit it with some fertilizer, give it a nice boost. So for this, I'm just going to use what I had left over, give it a nice watering, get the top a little bit, and I'll demo the Foliar Spray in a little bit here, but I'll probably hit this at least a couple times a week with that. Okay, so next I'd like to focus on the foliar spray or foliar feed. But basically, you're just gonna need a bottle like this. You can get them almost anywhere. This one's pretty much had it, but it should suffice in the meantime. You can either take that pre-mixed gallon that you may or may not have already done and just pour it in here so you get the ratios right. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab our pre-mix. This is just water in here right now. I'm gonna pour this water out, grab our pre-mix, and we're gonna use that. So we're just gonna go ahead and distribute that into here. Okay. I don't know why, I just thought I'd give it a whiff. It doesn't smell like much. But yeah, let me go show you how we're gonna use this now. Okay, so one of the things, I'm probably gonna use these on a lot of trees, but one are a couple of my citrus trees I have in the goat pen that I hacked way back. They're doing okay, but you see some of the discoloration there. Again, some of it's a combination of heat, new leaves, but it almost definitely needs some nutrients. We have another one over here from a recent video. We have a lot of new growth. Things are doing well, but things could always be doing a little better. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is just go around the tree. Right now the jet's on. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. The jet's on a little high. We wanna disperse it evenly, like a mist. But the one thing people don't necessarily know when you're doing a foliar spray is to spray both the tops and the bottom of the canopy. So yeah, this is mainly for canopy. I've actually been hitting this up from time to time. It's been a while with diluted fish emulsion, but I'm pretty sure this product here is gonna do one up on that. All right guys, so we're back here a little more than a week later, and I thought I'd show you some of the progress. You'll have to excuse any noise. We have some construction next door, which is fine by me because I had really noisy neighbors. So yeah, the irony. Anyway, first off is the white sapote. While some of the leaves are still have a little bit of yellow, you can see through the veins some green is starting to disperse. Also, the foliage that is like intact and really good is getting nice and dark green. As far as the fruit's looking good, about ready to set, but the one thing is it's getting a lot of new growth, which indicates that there's probably a lot of root growth happening too right now. In a previous video, I did show you guys the transplant, and I did a lot of damage to the roots in order to kind of break things up. So you'll see some of these leaves, when you have browning like that, that's almost irreversible. But if you look closely, you can see that instead of bright yellow, they're starting to get some nutrients filling in. It has only been a week. But you'll also see some nice new growth popping up all over. A little bit on top, but if you look at the established growth, it's getting a really nice green here. Fruit's looking good like it should, not ripe yet. All right, now we're moving along to the citrus. I'll be honest, I haven't been consistent in the foliar spray. I'd been meaning to kind of revamp it and do it a little more than I did, but I did give it that one nice spray. But yeah, the foliage is looking much darker, much greener. Some of this damage, a lot of leaf miner damage from the past, is possibly, you know, irreversible, but we are looking a lot healthier here. Same principle with the white sapote. You're seeing a lot of the veins are darkening up, and that's a good indication that nutrients are being fed throughout the tree. So you'll see here, you know, they were a little more yellow. Now they're darkening up. You can see that. Some of the more severe cases of yellowing, you can see that they're starting to green up here too. The foliage that was already green is looking a lot darker, a lot healthier, so we're looking good. One thing I might add, and this kind of goes along with the lemon tree from seed that I'm about to show you guys, but one factor here is we have been getting a ton of rain and these trees are in the ground. So some of the yellowing could have been a factor of that anyway, but it does look like we're getting some progress here and it's looking really good. All right, so this is what I was talking about with the lemon. As you'll see, some of the foliage on the bottom is a lot darker. I actually have had to amend the soil. The root problem of this was heavy clay in this area. So I've since fertilized, as I showed you guys, but I also amended the soil here. But see on this yellow, you're seeing some spots here. You can see the nutrients are starting to get dispersed. So yeah, a week into it, I only fixed the soil yesterday. So I'd say all in all, we're looking a lot better here. All right, a really nice indicator of this, I guess it's a little more prevalent because we're getting new growth. Bananas tend to grow a lot quicker than other things. They're herbaceous rather than trees. But both in the old growth, and I'll show you guys a close-up in a minute, the old growth is really greening up, but this new growth, I think it was in this stage when I fertilized, but the new growth is just where you want to see a banana be. And we're already getting a new shoot since then. So yeah, here's the older growth, the much older growth. But this is starting to green up nicely. This is that new growth that is very green. You can see in comparison to the older growth, and we already have a new leaf coming up. All right guys, so as you can see, all in all, this has been really successful. I do not promote things I do not believe in. I will say this was my first trial with this specific product, but hey, Charles hasn't let me down yet. I'll link his information, that's Charles with IV Organics, both his website and his YouTube. His YouTube offers lots of different tutorials and also demos on how to apply all of his products. Anyway guys, I hope you thought this was helpful. Like I said, this is not this strictly sponsored thing where I'm trying to make money off this. Charles and I are friends, but I do like sharing with the community things I believe in, things that actually work, and especially being an organic farmer / gardener, it's good to share that kind of stuff with you guys. All right guys, well that's gonna do it for today's video. Be sure to check out some of my other videos and consider subscribing. I do offer lots of tutorials and all sorts of gardening advice. All right, well that's gonna do it for today's video. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time.